Now, time to move on to the next Arrowverse show we're covering. Let's talk about Supergirl. So Supergirl is in its fourth season. Yeah, we're in the fourth. No. Fifth season. My mistake. Fifth season of Supergirl. Now, okay. When it comes to Supergirl, unfortunately, I've been very positive about Arrow and Flash. Unfortunately, when it comes to Supergirl, I do not have as many positives to point out. And that bugs me, because one thing that bugs me about that, it irritates me because this show has a good cast. We have a lot of characters who have been on this show since season 1. We have a few new ones that have only been around for a couple seasons. But this has a good cast, and especially our lead actor. I got to give credit to Melissa Benoist. She's gained a large fan base. I can see why. She just seems like a really nice, great person who's very appreciative of what she's got. And I have to give massive respect to Melissa Benoist, because recently on Instagram, on her personal Instagram, she posted a 14-minute long video where she revealed that she is a survivor of domestic abuse. A former boyfriend of hers that she will not give the name up of, and that's completely her choice, was very abusive towards her, was very jealous if she was interacting with other men, would interfere with her career. And I've got to give massive props to her, because it's not easy talking about that stuff. I have friends of mine who've been victims of that fucking bullshit. And it's not easy, because you feel some shame about it. Like, well, what did you do to deserve this? And for her to be able to come out and reveal it, it's very brave of her, because talking about this stuff can really change how people view you. And for someone who is a public figure, a celebrity, it can affect your career too. But but she came out. She was, told her story in the hopes that it would help somebody else to avoid getting a abusive relationship like that, or maybe someone who is in one, and help give them the courage to know that they're not alone and they can leave that situation. And so I gotta give her a round of applause to Melissa Benoist. Shown being brave on screen and off screen. So and I gotta give it up to her, and I have to do that. Now, with that said, like I said, I'm not as big a fan of the Supergirl show, and I want to be. I really want to be, because every once in a while this show does give. I'm like, oh please, I want this to be good. I want the show to be good. But let's get into it. All right, so once again, let's also start out with talking about Supergirl's new costume for this season. This new costume takes some design cues from the Superman of the Supergirl show, played by Tyler Hoechlin. It takes some design aspects from his Superman costume, whereas before, like traditionally, you got the Superman or Supergirl cape, and it tucks in to like underneath the collar. With this one, it takes the cue from Tyler Hoechlin's Superman suit, where the cape buckles onto the shoulders at a certain point. But with her new version of the suit, they improved it from Hoechlin's Superman suit, where there's these rubber guards or covers on it or something. Here it's just the cape fabric, so that works out a lot better. Additionally, she now has pants on her super suit, and in the episode where she gets the new suit, which I gotta point this out, they give a very dumb, thin reason for her to get a new suit. Whatever. It's dumb. It's a really dumb reason. But anyway, she gets pants on it, and she makes it like this big smile, like, oh, pants! Because she had a skirt on her old suit. But why is she so excited? I'm sorry. I know this is a dumb thing to point out, but it just confused me. Why is she so excited to suddenly have pants? She was never upset about wearing a skirt before. I don't know. They made it out to be like it was a deal for her. Did I miss an episode where she was like, oh, I could really use some pants? Because it's not like she's getting cold flying around. She's a fucking Kryptonian. It's got to get really, really cold for them to feel cold. You got to be like Sub-Zero stuff. But anyway, I'm sorry. A little nitpick. I know. Anyway. All right. But anyway, so the only thing on the suit that's actually bothering me, I don't mind the pants thing. I think the suit looks good. The only thing that reminds me is her belt area. It's still kind of a golden kind of a dip to a point. Except for this one, they totally chromed it out, and it's just too much chrome for me. Otherwise, I think it's a pretty good-looking super suit. I like it. But now that we've gone over the little costume talk, let's actually talk about what's going on. So last season, Lena Luthor, the sister of Lex Luthor, discovered that Kara is Supergirl, and this leaves her heartbroken because Kara is supposed to be her best friend, and she never told her that she's Supergirl. But basically, Kara has told everybody else, and everybody that basically Lena is friends with on the show, all these other characters, they all knew, and no one, including Kara, ever told her. So she feels betrayed, and in this season, she wants payback against Kara, aka Supergirl, for betraying her because, and here's the thing. I'm kind of on Lena's side with this, right? Because it's been pointed out multiple times in the show that Lena had a rough life growing up because, well, she's a Luthor. Her dad sucked. Her mom sucked. Her mom has been a recurring villain on the show before. Obviously, her brother Lex sucks. He's fucking Lex Luthor. So, yeah, Lena really didn't have anyone she could call friends or family, people that she can truly care for and trust until she met Kara, and then she met James Olsen and the rest of the main cast. And Kara has basically revealed her identity to so many other people. Hell, last season, she reveals her secret identity to the new character of Nia, a person she's only known for a few months, and she told her before she told her supposedly best friend. So, I'm sorry, I'm with Lena Luthor. I think Supergirl needs a Kryptonian backhand. I was just like, I was like, how can you, like, I mean, they kind of resolve it, sort of, like, where, like, Kara does eventually tell her pretty early on. I was actually surprised when it happened. But I was just like, yeah, now Supergirl, you got some comeuppance coming your way for treating Lena like that, considering how rough of a life she's had, and you just never told her some BS. I mean, she admits it was BS that she never told her, but I was like, yeah, I don't feel bad for you. If Lena, I don't want Supergirl to get killed. Don't get me wrong. I don't want Lena to slaughter her or anything. Develop some kind of like with kryptonite. I just was like, yeah, you got some karma coming your way. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, so like Kara does confess pretty early on, but Lena, despite the fact that Kara confessed and profusely apologized, and it was a good scene. Melissa Benoist performed very well in it, but Lena has decided is going to use this Kara's guilt about not telling her before to manipulate her and to further her plans as she's developing a computer system that will not necessarily. It's kind of hard to explain. It's not a mind control device, but it is going to alter. Lena wants to alter humanity on a fundamental level by not taking away their emotions, but taking away what she perceives as flaws in humanity. So that's So we kind of see where this is going here. Also, Lena sold the Cacto Media, where Kara and James work, to this woman whose name I can't remember because I don't care about her. She's not an interesting character at all. And she's basically turning Catco Media from, a genuine media source for good journalism and truth and all that into a tabloid. And of course, James and Kara have an issue with this, and they fight back in a journalistic way, saying, I'm going to still write my articles the way they should be written and not talk about these dumb things. It's not a tabloid, right? So, yeah, that's going on. And funny enough, this is a plot point from Superman 4, one of the worst Superman movies and one of the worst superhero movies that was made, where they turned the Daily Planet into a tabloid, basically, and now they've carried this over into Supergirl. So I kind of find it funny that you're using a plot point from a failed movie. But at the same time, if they can make it work, cool. Because, sometimes just because something was in a bad movie doesn't mean it was a bad idea. It just means it was in a bad movie, so it was poorly executed. So they make it work fine, and I see where they're going with things here. Actually, the most interesting thing about the current season is what the subplot of what's going on with John Jones, I should say, a.k.a. the Martian Manhunter. Released by the Monitor, a new Martian shows up on Earth and claims to be Martian Manhunter's brother. The only problem is Jean doesn't have a brother, or at least he doesn't remember having a brother. So he's now questioning, is this guy really my brother? did I have a brother and nobody told me about it? Or is this guy faking and he's trying to confuse me and to some end? We don't know. We don't know. But it's actually pretty interesting. As time goes on, more information is revealed about this new character, and it really puts Jean in a place as he discovers certain secrets that makes him really reevaluate himself. And it's also learned as the season goes on that this Martian that is saying that he's his brother has some degree of a form of mind control, which gets to the theme of the season, which is the masses being brainwashed. A lot of people say through our technology, social media, we're being brainwashed. A lot of people say through horrible news organizations giving us false information and false news, we're being brainwashed or manipulated in some way. And then you have a character with literal mind control powers, a variation of. The theme, of course, of this season is people being brainwashed or manipulated from our sources of media, our sources of information, whether it be technology or certain news outlets. And I get the theme because Supergirl has always dealt with political and social issues. That's something that the show's been doing for years, especially last season when they basically had the alien version of KKK/white nationalists called the Children of Liberty. It was definitely, there was definitely one episode where it was like, oh, holy shit, this is Charlottesville. Okay. All right. Okay. And here's the thing. I do not at all mind a show using real world events, and using them to inspire plot lines and stories and looking at them through a certain lens and, examining it and all that stuff. I grew up on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Star Trek, even back in the original Star Trek, did morality tales all the time by taking things from, our world and incorporating them. Hell, in Next Gen, we had that one episode where they go to where it's basically the gay episode, where they go to a planet where they've completely eliminated gender. An entire alien species has eliminated gender, but certain members of their population are coming out as male or female, and the society says, no, there's something wrong with you. So it's basically the gay episode. They had another episode dealing with soldiers dealing with PTSD and how their society rejected them. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them using that. And science fiction is a fantastic way to examine things about our society, because you can paint it as an alien or like a mutation or something, or my only problem with when it comes to Supergirl, through many seasons they really hand-fist it with you with what their political or social message is. One of the most blatant examples was from season 3, I believe, where they had a character who was a lesbian, and their father, who they were estranged from because they couldn't handle their daughter being gay, returns when they announce that they're getting married. The father tries to be okay with it, but by the end of the episode, he's like, I can't deal with this. And she's like, why? Why do you have a problem with me being gay? And he said, well, we're Mexican. When I first came to this country, everybody thought I was a dirty Mexican, and, no one trusted me. But then I worked my way up and I became sheriff of our town. And, but even after all that, they're going to build a wall to try to keep us Mexicans out. And there's only thing they hate more than a Mexican, it's a gay person, which, okay, and here's what I have a problem with that. Once again, I don't have a problem with them bringing real world issues and putting it in the context of the show. Here's the problem. It doesn't make sense in the show. Okay? Now, he sets a wall, want to build a wall to keep us Mexicans out. Obviously, this is talking about President Donald Trump's wall or his barrier now that they're erecting at the border. Here's the problem with that. In Supergirl, Donald Trump is not the president. They have an entirely different character at that time playing the president, played by Linda Carter. So referencing the border wall doesn't make sense because Trump isn't the president in that universe. This is what I mean by hand-fisting it. The show is literally saying, we don't like the border wall. And I'm not saying you have to like the border wall. I'm not saying be against the border wall. I'm saying it doesn't make sense in Supergirl because Trump isn't the president there. It doesn't make any sense. I think it was in that same season or later, they did a gun control episode. Arrow also did a gun control episode, and even though I think they kind of they screwed up the landing at the end of the episode, personally, I thought they did the gun control episode pretty well for the most part. A few hits and miss. Like I said, the ending, there's like, whatever. They kind of tried to like have it both ways. But overall, Arrow did a fine job with a touchy subject like that. Supergirl, nope. It was pretty obvious from the like they're not even having an interesting way to frame it or anything. It's just that a military gun is now they have a civilian version of it, and gun's bad. And at the end of the episode, Martian Manhunter, who's in charge of the DEO, a secret government organization that's basically kind of like Men in Black, but more military style, he says, we're going to get rid of all of our guns because we're peacekeepers. Once again, pro-gun, anti-gun, doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense in the fucking show. All right? It's Supergirl. In the first two... in the show at that time, they had fought back two massive alien invasions of Earth, and we're in the middle of another alien invasion of Earth. It doesn't make sense for you to de-arm yourself like that. It doesn't make sense in the show. This is what I mean about their hand-fisting these social and political messages. And I don't want to get in because, once again, it doesn't matter which way you're going on them. It doesn't make... a lot of times, it doesn't make sense in the show, or it's just blatantly obvious what the show is trying to say. In the last season, they tried to examine things a little bit more, but it was just like... It's like you were just plucking everything going on in America into the season. It's just like it doesn't work. Once again, I want to enjoy the show, but I can't because it's just so obvious and plain and blunt sometimes. And once again, Star Trek has done it. Not every episode of Star Trek has always done it well, but for the most part, they handle it better. If you do want to see an Arrowverse show that does handle this kind of stuff better, I do recommend Black Lightning, because a lot of that show has to do with black culture and the issues black cultures face. On top of the fact that you have superheroes and supervillains, I think Black Lightning handles it much better, much better. So unfortunately, I cannot recommend this season of Supergirl, and I actually stopped watching after I think the 4th or 5th episode because I was just bored. Nothing's keeping me interested. Nothing's keeping me involved. The thing with Martian Manhunter is kind of interesting, but the main plot line, I don't care anymore. I want to, but I don't. Oh, man. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that. I know I am. Yeah, so I'm sorry. Supergirl's lost me. I was going to watch it up till Crisis, but I've lost interest. Hey everybody, hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to see a full episode, I live stream over on Facebook. And of course, don't forget to click subscribe and check out some more videos.